grow the can, and then the gas inside will grow with it. Elbows up.
I'm trying to focus here.
Focus.
Holy, forget it!
It worked!
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Watch Squad. Today we are talking about Pixar Animation Studios' Onward. Joining me, as always, is my fellow compatriot in the Watch Squad world, and that is Joe. What's up, my man? How are you?
All right, dude. How's it going? How you been?
It's good, man. It's good. So today, Onward.
Yeah, this is right in my wheelhouse.
This is right in your wheelhouse. Walt Disney Productions, Pixar Studios. Pixar makes it in my wheelhouse. Obviously, my nickname being Render Man. This is kind of where it came from back in my film days. But this is the first animated film I probably watched in probably a year,
So,
to be completely honest with you.
so
I just have none of them have been on my radar. None.
and that's crazy to me. Being a Disney fan and loving the animation as much as I do, I don't understand why people can't or don't watch it. And that's the thing. Like, why haven't you seen an animated movie up until here? Is there just no interest, or?
I just think my viewing habits and viewing tastes have just been just kind of in a different place, in a different realm, I guess.
All right.
You know, I've been more into, I was on the Marvel bandwagon for so long, like the superhero movies and, Big Bang movies and stuff like that. Like, dating my girlfriend, I watch a whole lot more feel-good chick flicks, than I care to admit. But
Yeah.
that's like the viewing habits at this point. Watching Disney or Pixar films, a lot of them also just really haven't kind of reached out and grabbed me like, oh, I need to go watch that. Like the way Toy Story, the first two Toy Stories really like reached out and grabbed me and pulled me in, like, you got to watch these stories, or Bugs Life or Monsters Inc., all those oldies, which kind of crazy calling them old now, really were like there. And my kid was younger and there was a reason to go and watch them and all of those things. Now it was like, you're like, hey man, I want to review this movie, go watch it. And I was like, all right, I'll go watch it. It's Pixar, I'll watch it while I'm working. And, I found myself today stopping rewinding because I missed like certain things and wanted to not miss anything. And it's a great little story. It kind of resonates in a very strange way with me, and I think you'll probably agree because we both have lost our fathers. It's like that whole little part where all he wants to do is see his dad and all that. Like, there are certain points in time, it's not every day, but you miss your pop. You miss that person that you could go and have a man conversation with, something that you wouldn't necessarily go to your mom with. So it very much resonated with me in that way and kind of sparked up some feelings and emotions and whatnot. To me, overall, I enjoyed it very much. I can't say it was bad in any way, shape, or form. I can't say it was, I don't have any negative feelings towards it. Overall, I think it was a great movie. I think it hit its mark.
I like this movie a lot. I think, honestly, in recent years, this is my favorite Pixar movie, Disney movie that's come out. I love all of Disney stuff for the most part, so I guess I'm kind of biased. But you hit it on the head. This movie gives you the feels, and I think what else this movie did that a lot of recent Disney movies lack in is that this is more what feels to me geared towards younger boys or boys in general, not a princess movie. This movie had D&D aspects of it, so it kind of has like that nerdy feel to it as well. I don't know. I just think this movie hit on every level for me. I actually think this is the best thing Disney and Pixar have done since like Incredibles 1 or Monsters Inc. Honestly.
You don't have a problem with the runtime at all or anything like that?
No, I think this movie was as long as it needed to be. In fact, it might have been a little longer than it needed to be. But
Yeah, I think there were certain parts in it that you could have maybe chop some scenes down when they're floating down the river underground on a cheese doodle. I don't
yeah,
necessarily think that needed to be that long, but there were some very poignant things in there. As I said, I can't really, if that's the only negative thing I'm going to have about this movie is maybe it could have been 5 minutes shorter.
I was gonna
That's really like
see.
grasping for straws.
I enjoy that scene. So when you say like to cut something out, the scene that comes to my mind is the one where they're stuck when they're out of gas and they're looking for a gas station. I think them between the van and coming out of the gas station didn't need to be as long as it was. Like I think they could have cut some of that out with the pixies and stuff like that.
Oh, that whole driving down the road, like him learning to really drive and all that, and merge, and the whole scene with the pixies and the motorcycles, and yeah, I can't disagree with that either. I
Yeah,
would have
that
liked to have seen more of the mom and the what was her
the
the
Manticore.
Manticore? Yeah,
Yeah, I think Julia Louise Dreyfus does the mom's voice from Seinfeld, and when watching it, I'm like, I know that voice, but to me, that's not who I thought it was. Like, yeah, that was weird to me that I knew the voice, but I couldn't place who it was.
I
Did an
had
excellent job.
I had
Yeah,
one of those moments too, and it was like the shortest cameo like segment in the whole movie, and that was Wilmer Valderrama
yeah,
Fez from that '70s show.
70 show. Yep.
Yeah, where I was like, I know that voice. I know that voice. All right, why don't we jump into this and break it down? Why don't we go ahead and start with plot and storyline?
So the storyline of the movie is about two, I guess I don't know how old the youngest brother is.
He
I'm
just
guessing
turned 16.
that's right. It's about his 16th birthday. So it's about a 16-year-old boy and his older brother who finally learned that they could bring back their father for one day. Um, and the younger brother never really met his dad, and they go on this whole trip following a roadmap. His father,
Quest.
yeah, a
It was a
quest
quest.
that his father, essentially sends them on uh, because they break that gem in the very beginning. So it's all about them trying to meet their father through this quest, uh, and it has a lot of D&D aspects of it, or like a role playing game type aspect of it with
I thought,
wizards and
yeah, I thought
manticores
that
and stuff.
and that what's not Mythic Quest, but those cards that the kids play.
Pokemon Go or something, not
It's like
Pokemon Go,
there's like the Pokemon
Yu-Gi-Oh
cards,
or
and then
whatever.
there's Yu-Gi-Oh, all those types of games, yeah.
Magic the Gathering,
And
I think
how
is
it
what it's
was
called.
all real and based on things
History.
factual and happened. I'm cool with it. That was fun. It was lighthearted. Barley Lightfoot being the older brother who's really into the game, has his van, Guinevere. It's a POS. Everything's falling off it at any point in time.
I mean, in the van, oh, we'll get to that later, but the van has a big significance to me too. Like that was crazy um, in this movie. But overall, oh, Jesus, you want to say that word?
Overall,
Overall, plot and storyline. I thought this was somewhat different than other Disney stuff. It didn't appeal more to girls and it was more towards boys, like we said earlier. So I think they did a very good job on hitting that mark in the story and plot.
I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, this is one of those films that it came out February 21st. Was released March 6th, 2020, unfortunately, right before everyone went into pretty much lockdown with, the whole coronavirus.
Uh,
Um, it's a budgeted film of $200 million, roughly. And in the box office, it only grossed 103.2, which is
and
very, very unfortunate because then Disney's like, here you go. If you have Disney Plus,
yeah.
you can now watch this film for free.
So and it kind of sucks because because this movie was so good. I mean, I don't want them to ever do a sequel. I don't like any of Disney sequels to begin with. So
I
seeing a
don't
sequel would
know
be
if you.
terrible.
I don't think you could do a sequel of this.
Maybe not a sequel, but something based in this world. Maybe not even revolving around the two brothers. You could do another story though in this magical, fantastical world they just built.
Of
I,
mythical creatures, yeah, I
yeah.
guess you could
So
explore some other aspect of it.
yeah.
A Manticore movie, going back
This,
into the, telling a prequel of her storyline or something. Yeah, I could give you
yeah.
that.
So, but anytime they've done that, even the Monsters University prequel, while that one I do give a little bit of a pass, I thought it was pretty good. Most of them are just terrible. So, I don't want this to be a commercial failure based on budget because it's such a good movie. But I also don't want it to do so well that they're going to try to milk it for all it's worth. And I do think that budget thing does hurt Disney, and they see it as a flop. And
Yeah.
I think that's sad.
The one point that was very cool towards the end of the film, and like the last action scene when Ian walks off and sitting by the lake with his half of dad, just the pants. And he's looking at the list of things he wanted to do with his father, and he's sitting there crossing them off like, didn't get to do that, didn't get to do that. And then all of a sudden has this like revelation that
Tiffany,
he
yeah.
might not had a dad, but he had Barley, and he got to do all these things with Barley, with the flashbacks and all the things on the quest that they got to do together. That was kind of cool. That was very cool, and how it kind of was an awakening point for him that no, maybe he didn't know his father, but he had that father figure.
Yep.
And I think it was very strong and to the point that it really sold the film for me at that point. That was like the one thing you always look for in like a Pixar film. Like, where's that one point that makes it all worthwhile? And for me, like that checking off the checklist was very cool. And then going and telling Barley, you go say goodbye to dad. You never got that opportunity because you were chicken shit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go defeat an evil dragon, even though you released it.
Yeah. That's again, I agree 100% with that part. I think that's where, you get the feels. And especially, you see him do that, and he runs back to his brother and then tells him to go take off and say goodbye to his father. I don't know, man. Like you said in the beginning, losing your dad, and then I don't know. I did. I shed a tear in the theater at that part. I'm glad the theater was dark when I went to see it. But it definitely hits. So that being said, do you want to give your score?
Yeah, I'll give the plot and storyline for this. I'll give it a solid 8.
Okay. Well, I'm right there with you. I gave it the same score. So
Oh,
we're both
there
in
we go.
agreement there on that with an 8.
All right, let's move along. Writing and characters.
Yes.
So we've talked a little bit about Ian Lightfoot, who was voiced by Tom Holland. We've talked about Barley Lightfoot, who was voiced by Chris Pratt. You brought up Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Laurel Lightfoot, the mom.
Mhm.
Octavia Spencer was the Corey, or the
Manticore.
Manticore.
Yeah.
Um, they're really the main characters. I mean, I guess you could say
Well,
Mel
you're missing one.
Rodriguez as Colt Bronco.
Maybe I see him as a side character, but you're missing a big character. And I think you're missing it because it's not a talking character, but it is a character in this movie, and that is Guinevere the Van. And that's why I held back on what I was saying before, because that's another part that's kind of crazy in this movie, that you get the feels for an inanimate object. And that's the one thing Disney and Pixar definitely can do, is give you feelings about something that's not real.
Yeah.
And when they send that van off to buy them time, and it's Barley's the only thing Barley ever like really loved in his life up to that point and built it from scratch, you feel bad for him. And this van had character up to that point, and you feel bad for it too. So
I could give you that. I saw the lighter side of the van instead of the, you know, D for drive. There was a piece of tape with the O for onward. That was kind of cool, tying, the whole name of the movie into everything. Um, I honestly think that they did an amazing job with casting these voices. Like Chris Pratt nailed
Nailed it.
Barley.
Yep.
Yeah. Tom Holland.
Yeah.
I mean, you think of Tom Holland, what do you think?
Spider-Man.
Yeah, and this goofy little Spider-Man kid. I mean,
Yeah.
and none of that translated over. Like, I didn't go, oh, this is just Spider-Man in a different form. He really did a great job acting out.
This like nerdy little kid.
Yeah, like a totally different persona,
Yeah.
and he hit that right on the mark. You already talked about Julie Louis-Dreyfus. I think she did an amazing role for how limited her role really was. Same with Octavia Spencer. I think the writing of it was solid. I think they gave you the beginning, the middle, the end. We both have a little, objection to certain parts that maybe didn't need to be written as long, and that might not have been written as long. That could have been, modeled that long. They just had that much fun modeling that scene that's just how it ended up. Who knows? But I think the writing was definitely strong. I'm gonna give it a 9 for characters and writing.
I gave it the same thing again. This is crazy because normally we don't agree this much.
No, we generally don't agree on much normally. Okay, moving on to effects and post production. This is really the meat and potatoes of a Pixar film.
Yeah.
Is how well can you carry the effects off? Because the entire film is effects driven.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire film is post-driven, like how well you create these characters. And we can lump in the animation style and the creation of these characters and facial expressions and all that, because that's all part of the effects and the post-production aspect of the film.
He agrees.
Yeah, Otis agrees as well. I really enjoyed the tonnage, like how everything kind of had this fantastical, whimsical kind of feel to it. It was very captivating. Like, not at any point in time did you sit there and go, "Oh, they could have done that tree better." It's Pixar. I mean, it's what they do. In my opinion, it was all dynamite. It was all great. I have no problems with it. In typical Pixar fashion, in my opinion, they nailed it.
Well, Pixar always nails it, and I think them and Disney are the top in any animation game there is. And again, maybe I'm biased because I am a huge Disney fan, not just animated features or whatever, but parks, everything, cruise line. So I agree. I think they're the best at what they do.
Yeah, very much so. I'll let you go first this
Sure.
time.
I gave it an 8.
We disagree. I gave it a 9.
I was leaning towards 9, but I don't know. I can't go. I don't know. I can't go that much higher than an 8 on this because anything. I don't know. I gave it an 8. I can't back it up on why it lose points, but it did.
Well, I gave it a 9 because nothing's ever perfect. I'm sure if you sit there and watch it again, I can find something to nitpick. So I'm giving that it -1 point just for not total perfection. Yeah. Directing, again, I mean, this is very interesting. Like, you're directing voice actors. I mean, you sit in a room in front of a microphone and you speak your lines however many times you need to speak your lines. You don't necessarily have to be animated as you're speaking your lines. Most voice actors are. They're very animated in how they're doing what they're doing.
But we don't see that.
I mean, some of it you might. I mean, it all depends on how they created the film. Some of these films could have been created by people in green suits with little dots and the whole 9 yards. That's how they went about tracking facial expression and all of those little tidbits that go into the post and the effects and all that.
Yeah, that goes into effects where you gave it a 9.
Exactly. Because I think all the facial expressions and everything were believable and didn't feel fake. So directing, it's Dan Scanlon.
Yep.
I mean, what are you going to say? He's an animator, storyboard artist, and he's worked for Pixar. He's done Monster University. He's done Onward.
So so the other guy, Pete Docter, who's now like the head of Pixar, He did the Wallies, and I believe he did Up. Dan Scanlon to me is better than Pete Docter.
Okay.
So I'm going with Dan when it comes to directing on these movies than I will with Pete. I gave it an 8. Again, there's not much to direct, so we're keeping it at an 8.
Yeah, I gave it an 8 as well. So for me, tallying up all my scores, so on and so forth, I give this film overall, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I would probably put it on my list of, if it was on, I would watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I might put it on my list to sit down and watch again while I'm not doing something else like working. Um, just to sit and enjoy it and maybe find things that I might have missed just because it didn't have my complete attention. But overall, I enjoyed it. My score, 8.5, I think is very fair. I think it's right where it needs to be.
After averaging my score, I gave it an 8. I think it comes out to an 8.2 if we want to break down to tenths. I've seen this movie 3 times, once in theaters, twice at home on Disney Plus. I'd watch it a 4th. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. On an entertainment value alone, it's a 10. If somebody was like, hey, I want to watch Onward, I'll come over and watch it with you. I love this movie.
Social distancing, of course, right?
Sure.
All right, well, there you have it, people. There is our review of Disney Pixar's Onward. Stay tuned for our next episode where we will probably review another movie. It might even be a TV show. We don't know. You don't know either. So with that being said, this has been Watch Squad. We'll catch you next time. We're out. Later.